Okay, I'm recording.
Yeah, so what I'm grappling with, and please, anybody, have input of what you see in heaven, blue, is do each of the benches, the people on the bench, really represent a mountain? So because there's often 7 mountains in a blueprint. So this blueprint can actually represent lots of different elements, which we probably could, if we went in and tried to give them names, we could probably call each different aspect a different name. And the likelihood is that 1 or 2 of the people will feel more resonance with that particular mountain than another, so that each on the bench begins to develop an understanding of what more specifically is their mountain for that whole blueprint. What do you guys see about that?
My question is, what is the purpose of? I know the name is restoration for this group, and so just how that fits in with the 7, would be my question.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say with the mountains.
Okay.
The restoration would be the name of the overall blueprint. The restoration of the Ecclesia, and each of that would be made up of 7 mountains. So this whole principle helps us with our own personal mountains as well, because within any mountain there's 7 mountains. So everything can always be broken down more. So I'm just trying to think of what, if we thought of all the encounters we've done to date, could we categorize a few into certain headings? And that would be, so it's a subsection of restoration. So for example, like on the Ecclesia framework, my overall blueprint is unity and restoring the priesthood of believers. And then I've listed 7 mountains, if you see a page on my side, one of which is unity. And then we're trying to get a bench of 3 over the unity mountain, then a bench of 7. And we've identified a few mountains in the unity mountain. So that's got sub-mountains. And so we've seen that within unity, there's a whole load of different aspects to unity, which then helps other people grasp their scroll more, because they know more specifically what areas they're targeting, because some of these areas are massive. And before you know it, you can be so like, it's either too big a picture for you, and practically you don't know where to start, or you just don't know how to define your scroll well enough. So in the end, you sort of run out of things to legislate over because you don't understand the complexities of your scroll.
Well, Jane, I would respond this way. It seems like you could break down almost all of the ascensions we've done with this bench into 2 categories. One is restoration of the land, and that can be literally entire planets, refuge cities, territories, the entire earth. And then the other category is restoration of humanity, sons of God, people.
Oh. Yes, that's good. So
Either
two mountains.
Places or people is what it comes down to.
Land or mountain.
Right?
That's a useful categorization.
Yeah, I mean, Kathy and I can probably collaborate there or corroborate that, in that we've gone to planets to restore them. We have restored the earth as far as mercury poisoning. The bees was another one. Refuge City is in Heliopolis. And then the remainder of them have been mostly about people, restoration of things that have been taken by the enemy. Becoming kings, becoming an ecclesia. How do we replicate the ecclesia? Those kind of things. So other thoughts, Kathy? Di?
No, I think that sums it up really, really well as far as the breaking it down in two huge categories. Like Jane was saying, they're massive. They can be absolutely massive for what we've done. And, the more often we get this many people, the more we can identify what areas within those two resonate heavily with the group, so we can branch off and do benches for even smaller categories,
So my question that comes out of that is, those are the two categories that we have done. Are we missing something? Is there a third category or a fourth category that we should be targeting for? Are we missing something?
I would say we've done a lot more on that would be broken down. I mean, if I thought about it, I could probably come up with the 7. Because if you look, an awful lot was around the ecclesia, and if you broke that down, there was things like the restoration of bringing forth kings, benches. There was a lot of really key aspects to the formation of the new wineskin. I think that we've been quite forerunners and pioneers in, and we've paved the ground. So yeah, I might just go through all the titles of the encounters and see if it springs to me of what the mountains are. Because I think the pattern will be there quite obviously.
But to your thinking, each category is one of the 7 mountains.
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't have categorized it in land and people, because I would say that's too general, and what land and what what people, and also I'm not sure in the early days some of the things that we were doing around that was really technically quite correct, in the sense that we all didn't have the same blueprint for that particular aspect. But I think what we did later on was we concluded that anything to do with the ecclesia, everyone had a mandate for. And I think you could actually argue that most of the encounters were restoration of the ecclesia in some format.
I would agree with that, Jane, because I know when Kathy and I had that coronation ceremony with our bench angel, he specifically said 2 things, and it was restoration and setting the captives free. And so we were given power and leverage, and so part of that, what Roger is saying about helping the people or restoration of the people, was literally setting captives free. So, and that was some of the things like dealing with Freemasonry, for example. And so, yes, you're right. You could recategorize those on different mountains, but really, the mandate all boils down to restoration and setting the captives free.
That's good.
Yeah, I think unity as well has come out a few times recently, and that's
Yes.
probably another sub-mountain. And unity is such a massive issue.
So Jane,
yeah, go on.
for example, before we go in, give an example of how you would start the ascension with a bench in mind. How?
It's no different. It's no different. It's just that what we're trying to do here is we're trying to combine, because ordinarily a bench of 7 would meet privately, and they would just do an encounter exactly the same as how we've been doing before, but we'd be trying to get the agreement of all 7. But what we're doing here is we're trying to incorporate, because that's another sub-mountain, is the whole training aspect, because of building up the generation of the mature sons. So what we're trying to do here is invite and allow others in to listen, participate, to learn the process of how a bench of 7 operates. Because what's been happening in the past is all these benches have been gathering and they've not been recorded, they've not been shown to anyone, and people are not understanding how a bench works. But it's no different. It's just that those who are on the bench have actually gone through the process with God and heaven, that you have clarified your scroll, you know the blueprint of the group, you've come into agreement with that, and you've reached a certain level of maturity operating as a king, and you've been comfortable with benches of 3, or even if they're not officially a bench of 3, you've been going in with several people and operating in a 3, so you know how to come into agreement. And then you've agreed that then the next calling is that you're part of a bench of 7. So nothing else is different other than the follow-up. It's more a question of not what you do when you go in, but more what you do in follow-up, because a lot of bench work differs from open encounters in the sense that if you say you identified a mandate in the encounter that you didn't get to deal with at the time, you would come back and deal with that. So it wouldn't be a clean slate each time. So it gets a little bit more complex in the sense that you have to be starting to look to follow things up, and not just so it takes you to a whole deeper level of maturity working on a bench. And it forces you to understand the processes of heaven and also the courts and an agreement more than an open encounter does.
All right, so for right now, let's say out of our bench of 7, there's 5 or 6. There's 6 out of the 7. So that, I guess, that's good.
Yeah,
actually,
I mean, you can't always get 7 turn up, but if another person comes in agreement, that makes an agreement of 7.
Okay, and then that's something that we can say going further into once we identify what the mandate is, which we get a pretty clear picture of where we're headed, halfway, probably maybe a quarter of the way into it, we kind of start seeing what we're supposed to be doing. Then we ask if there's any additional people in agreement so that we can operate as a bench at that point. Does that?
Yes, I think it's just making more of a point of saying, have we got the 7 in agreement? That we perhaps have been very disciplined on doing that. And also what we could do is actually ask someone to be the scribe, such that if we do identify a few things, say near the end, that are possible mandates, but we haven't got to dealing with it, somebody writes that down and tries to remember that next time and brings that back.
Okay.
See, what I'll often do in these encounters, that so many things come up, and we often don't do court cases, but I will personally feel really passionate about certain things, and I will on my own take those to the courts with my men in white linen, because I've got 2 other men in white linen to do with the Ecclesia, so I have a bench in heaven, and I will take that and do a court case specifically for those other things, so that there's follow-up of those areas and they're not left.
Okay, now what if other people are doing the same? Is that going to be a conflict, or is that all right?
No, because it's yeah, I mean, in heaven it doesn't
Matter.
And it's all about us growing in maturity.
Well, yeah, because it's either going to be about restoration of, and setting the captives free one way or another. So that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So does someone want to be a scribe then? Who's good at recording all right, or summarizing something?
Well, I always summarize for the YouTube video. I'm always summarizing the Ascension for the YouTube video. So
you're really good at that. Yeah, because it's quite a skill. I actually find I can't do that.
Okay.
I remember after, and I'm like, whoa, what was?
Yeah, it's like it's interesting. Sometimes it's easier than other times. But all right, so now I understand at what point then do we get the agreement from 7, and if it's more than 7, that's okay. I mean, if all 11 of us are in agreement on whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing during a certain ascension, that's okay too, right? I would imagine.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, any greater agreement, gives you. I just really sense it gives you way more authority, because that's what the whole essence of unity is about. That the greater unity there is among the brethren, the greater the flow in heaven, and that's what heaven's looking for.
Right.
What you see, the follow on from a bench of 7 becomes a bench of 12.
Right.
So eventually, if we can get enough people who are really, committed to this mandate at this time and this group of people and in relationship, we can begin to form a bench of 12.
Right.
And that's really exciting, because we're now really getting into the deep level of operating as a mature son. When we start operating at that level, we're super,
right.
Super.
Okay. All right. So should we just go through a few of the protocol stuff, not to become, stagnant, or just for the few people that haven't been with us, just a little bit of ground not rules, but you know what I mean. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see, hear, and perceive, and all of our voices are important, because we're all active participants, and it's all about unity, like what Jane said, and we're truly after seeking God's heart. That's our purpose. We're going to lay down any personal agenda. We can also use our 5 senses. Let's not rely on what we know, but he's going to bring it all together in the end. Don't be afraid of silence. Sometimes when nobody's saying anything, that's okay. No processing, that's really important, so that we don't bring things into the ascension of topics that are like heavy, that we've been thinking a lot about. Unless, of course, it's someone else says it and you just get complete revelation over something, which would be in accordance with what we're doing. And then for Diane, Roger, myself, we are facilitators, and we've been given the responsibility to redirect the prayers to maintain new heavenly methods versus old methods. So if we interject anything, it's just because we want to make sure that we're operating out of the new wineskin versus any of the old methods. So right now we choose to align ourselves with divine right alignment. We place our body under our soul. We place our soul under our spirit. We place our spirit under the Holy Spirit. We invite all heavenly hosts to help us. We welcome the angels, the great cloud of witnesses, spiritual beings, the 7 spirits of God, the men in white linen, and our bench angel. We seal off all other dimensions by the blood of the Lamb. And Revelations 3:20, Jesus says, "Here I am, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person and they with me. So that's our royal invitation for us to come up here, come up there, come up, yes. Oh, it's awesome. So believers can ascend and descend on Yeshua by choosing to, in our spirits, to go through the blood of the Lamb by faith to the place of Heavenly Father God. So right now I'm going to close the room and let's go. And another thing, we want to make sure we all stick together too. So I see us as a big group together, and I'm sensing that we're all to fuse with each other.
Hi, this is Bonnie.
Hey, Bonnie.
Hey, I see us all in a big white cloud.
Cool. I really see unity with this group. It's interesting. I just see that, we're all very peaceful and together, like-minded, all together. I don't sense that there's a lot of disunity, I guess. It's like our minds have collaborated. And I see Jesus just showed up.
This is Polly.
Hey, Paul.
Hi. Hey, I'm at the middle arch of 3 archways, and I'm just hanging out with this angel, and I'm kind of looking for you guys, because this is where I usually end up. And, I end up here at there's 3 archways. I'm at the middle archway. I go to the city of Destiny a lot, and that's through this middle archway. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I'm there talking to an angel, and I'm just thinking of Jesus, because you said Jesus. So I'm just trying to mentally go wherever you guys are.
Okay.
Anyone getting a sense of what that cloud represented that Bonnie saw?
Well, I felt like it engulfed us, like it was like the glory cloud kind of engulfing us. And I also felt like we were all going to go get Polly.
Yeah, look, it's probably really good. We do this in our other group, to really just take a few moments to really soak in intimacy, glory, whatever aspects to really ignite our spirits, so to speak.
So, Polly, are you sensing that we're near you now?
Yeah, I'm just really feeling the need to kind of soak and just absorb. Oh, and be refreshed. There's been an awful lot of distractions came across me yesterday, really strongly. I've been quite distracted. Do you know, as I said that, I suddenly got a sense of spirit saying that that's representative of what's happening in the Ecclesia. There's a move to distract the body with physical things. We must resist, we must press in and set our desire on higher and higher levels of intimacy, revelation, responsibility. Be the victors.
Hi, this is Linda.
Hey, Linda. Hi, Linda.
Okay. So earlier, I think this has to do with what everyone else is saying. Earlier, I saw, when we were in the cloud, I saw these little arches. I don't know who spoke about the arches earlier, but I saw arches prior to that coming out from the base of where we were standing together, united in the cloud. And they were coming out like they were like the material of like a cloud, but a ray, like a ray. And they were arching. I didn't know what that meant, but perhaps arching with the angels of unity, or like whatever. I just got the sense whatever we were doing was just in this place of uniting with each other in peace, that there was so much more happening. There's so much being done as we're like in a blueprint, so to speak.
Yeah, I was getting that. I was getting a lot of frequency from all of us together, like being united. United was giving us a whole different sense of, not sense, but a whole different authority.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it more, from the base, that was the foundation. So we were on a foundation of unity in the glory cloud. And from that, the rays of this cloud and the light was arching. So again, perhaps the angels are already doing going out to recreate what we're doing right now, something like that. So, okay.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I sensed a few minutes back, actually, we were to really arc with the angel of the house, and also I'm seeing now for us to come into agreement and find men in white linen for this bench. What was the name of the angel of this?
Ben.
Ben. So we can hold, yeah, we can really engage him.
Well, when you said that, it seemed like there were at least 10 men in white linen that showed up, because we all of a sudden became like they're a huge crowd. Like there was 20 of us all together.
I agree. I felt a presence behind me, and it was David and Joseph. And on the left of me, behind me, David's in green and Joseph's in like a light fuchsia purple. As I talk, I'm seeing more detail, because at first it was just like I just could sense it. Now I'm seeing like curls, the hair, and dark wavy hair, and a crown, and oh my goodness.
I know David very well because he's one of my men in white linen for the Ecclesia framework. I have a lot of interaction with David. I'm releasing the frequencies in David's tent. Any other names?
Jonathan?
Jonathan.
Okay. Anybody else see anybody else sensing names?
I'm hearing, this is Polly, there's a man named Saul, and but it's not King Saul, and it's not Paul before he was Saul, but he is of Tarsus. I don't know.
But he's of what?
He's from Tarsus.
Oh, okay.
But he's not Paul. Anyway, I'm talking to him. Maybe I'll get some more.
Well, I think there was a lot of men named Saul back in those days. So it's probably like a John or Mary or yeah nowadays.
Yes.
Actually, not
and
for
there's something about his identity being very strong in who he was, and he was very different than any connotations his name might have to others, in his generation. So he was a man of very firmly grounded in his identity in Christ or in God.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see what they'll want to show us or participate in with us.
Yeah, if anyone's not used to engaging the men in white linen, you just really can just hold them in your heart, and often you can get more of a download of their scrolls, and just feel that agreement that's coming in heaven from engaging them. And it's something we can engage them after as well, and really seek to get to know. And even bench with them as you go in on your own. You can.
Well, I'm sensing that they want to take us to like a higher platform or a place. Anyway, I think we're to go someplace. I don't want to say new, but we're supposed to go somewhere. So I think
Did anyone feel any resonance when I mentioned about the distractions for the Ecclesia?
Well,
yes, I did. Go ahead.
Well, I think who was it? Linda, when she was talking about how, you know, this foundation that was being set for us to go to a higher place because of the unity that we have become. So I wasn't too distracted. But maybe that's something that we need to go address for the overall ecclesia somewhere at a higher level.
Yeah, the question is really, is the Ecclesia distracted from really what heaven's wanting them to move towards?
Yeah, I'm sensing that we're someplace where we can really speak that over the body. It's like it's hard to describe. It's like we're at, I have no idea what this place would be called, but it's a place where you can really speak things out. It's not like a courtroom. It seems like it's outside.
What I'm seeing is a candy cane, and it's become, while I was waiting and looking at it, it became like a pole going through the cloud and going down. I don't know, I guess to earth, but anyway, it's sort of like there's a candy cane pole, and there's like an open space around it, like a portal would be open. And we're like in the cloud way above with this candy cane pole in the middle. It's red and white striped. And I'm like, no, it's not a barber pole. So, okay. That's what I got.
What I was seeing when we were together on the cloud, we're still there, was there was a rainbow that came in and arched over us, and then the one end of the rainbow started wrapping around us, and I sensed that it was the seven spirits, and that this cloud was like kind of a platform where we were to learn something. So I don't know. So when somebody said something about we're supposed to go someplace, I think that's true. I think there's almost like a kind of a university experience that we're supposed to have or something. So.
Okay, it's Michelle. I actually saw Mary, Jesus's mother, as part of the cloud that came.
That's so funny. I heard Mary too.
Okay. I totally identify with you, Jane, on the Ecclesia distractions. And the other thing I was going to say is earlier on, when we first said that we were in this cloud, and I think it was Kathy said she saw Jesus coming in to us. I saw him with a rolled up scroll with a little red bow tied around it. So that kind of connects now with what I think it was Bonnie just, or whoever just, probably Diane just said about us needing to go learn something.
I was just had a sense in my spirit with that candy cane, that the candy cane represented like sweet things of life that attract the soul, and I almost saw like our role was to pull up that candy cane and take it away from the ecclesia, such that they want more spiritual things than they do earthly soul pleasures. And I've just been learning a new technique this week that really resonated with me when I heard it. Was about allowing the river of life to drink the river of life in your soul, to calm your soul, so that it doesn't constantly keep pulling you away from the spiritual aspects, and then you actually want more of the heaven aspects rather than the worldly things, because we're in this constant battle of calming our soul. So our soul is under our spirit, and I just see that's the tension for the ecclesia. It's they haven't calmed the soul enough, and it's pulling and pulling, and constantly like being. It's like a war zone. Yeah, I saw that earlier. I didn't say. I did. I saw like this huge sort of just battle going on, and that's what I'm saying. It's the battle between the soul and the spirit.
This is Polly again, and earlier I felt like we were at Solomon's porch when we had the men of white linen around, and they were sort of counseling each of us and talking to us and identifying with us, and that the Saul of Tarsus character was identifying with that the ecclesia is the real, it's the original, it's the genuine, and as he was constantly compared to and had to qualify himself as, yes, I'm Saul, and yes, I'm from Tarsus, but I'm not the hatred breathing Paul, who Paul was before he was converted. That was not him. He was the original, but he was very unselfish in it. He lived to exalt Jesus. So the fact of all the problems he had to go through was a sacrifice unto the Lord for the people. You see, his heart wasn't one of complaint and injustice. It was more than willing and more than happy to pay the price for the people that he would reach. So if his name or any other thing about him was an inconvenience, it was a new paradigm. It was a different way of looking at it than we often do in this age and time. For the ecclesia or church or whatever, we complain. We feel the need to qualify and make a distinction and represent ourselves as the real and the original. And he wasn't about that. He was about counting the cost and the sacrifice as unto the Lord for those people. And that's how he kept his heart. That's how he kept it from going into frustration and futility and anger. And anyway, and I felt that was at Solomon's porch, which is in the book of Acts. It was a place where men and women could meet before they went into the temple, where they were then separated. Men were on one side, women were on the other. I don't know if that's the whole intention of Solomon's Porch, but that's just what's coming to mind for me at the moment.
Whew, that is really good, Polly. That is so speaking to my spirit. I think that's what we've got to learn, and I know personally that's what I'm being challenged at the moment. Whew, that is good.
Yeah, I'm hearing, I was hearing humility, and then I saw like a monk's robe, a brown, which is humility. There's no face in that robe either. It's hooded, but there's no face, which means it's an angel.
I got humility earlier today in our encounter. That stood out to me earlier, the word humility, something God was wanting to focus on. And before I went into this is Linda, before I went into the encounter, I was repenting for giving into that, like letting that war continue between the soul and the spirit. So just for confirmation. And there was something else, but yeah, that all resonates.
Well, that's
and I closed the door to distraction. I felt led to close that door right before we went in, and that it was, I wasn't feeling entirely distracted, but I felt it trying to, manifest, and so I feel like that has to do with the all of us, but like the more so just the Ecclesia in general, and I felt like the distraction, the call was a wake-up call. Like it was more about a waking up as well. It's a wake. Anyway,
well, it's
part of it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting having how many people we have. It's like everybody's kind of getting motivated, So that's good.
Yeah.
Serene, we haven't heard from you. What are you sensing?
I'm just listening to everybody's
Okay.
spiritual, and I'm just taking it all in right now.
Okay, awesome. I just want to make sure everybody is with us listening. Or what about you, Deborah? How's it going? Let me unmute you. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was about the cloud. I was getting Exodus 14, where they're in the process of about to cross the Dead Sea, and God tells Moses to raise a staff, stretch out your hand, and so on, and I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army. And then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew, went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved them in front. Moved from in front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other, so neither went near the other all night long. And I feel like, the cloud is a method of setting us apart to the Lord. And we've mentioned distraction and whatever else is going on that would keep us from the main thing. The main thing is keeping the main thing the main thing. So that I think the purpose of the cloud is that, as well as the other things that have been said.
That's good. Really good.
Mm-hmm.
So is any of the bench of 6 that are here, are you in agreement with what Polly was saying about what we had to learn?
Actually, I'm sorry, Jane, there's 5.
Oh, 5 then. Yeah.
No, there's 6. I'm sorry. Winnie's here. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's 6.
I had one thing I was going to share before you said that. And part of it was to ask her to, if she could just like re-say that, because it was a little bit muffled. But also, while she was saying it, I saw a Chinese dragon with its mouth open, and it was some fire coming out. So if she could just re-say what she said, that would be great.
Yeah, could you, Polly, could you just
That was Deborah.
yeah, but could Polly just try and say, is there a couple of words that summarizes what you were saying that we can just grasp on?
Are you saying Polly regarding or Deborah regarding Moses?
Yeah.
Which one?
No, Polly.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, the man, there was several men there, in the men in white linen. The one that I was talking to was Saul of Tarsus, but he explained to me he was not the Saul of Tarsus, that he lived his life trying to make the distinction, but it didn't impede him, because his heart was, that's a sacrifice I will gladly pay, so that people may know the Lord. It was like put up in the conversation, a small price to pay when they would remember his name, but then he would then again have to explain for the 100th time, no, I'm not that Saul, I'm this Saul. But all the price that he had to pay was counted a gain, because his heart was willing and heartily willing to sacrifice for the people, that they would know the genuine love of Christ, the Ecclesia, the new wineskin, whatever you want to call that or identify with it. That was his counsel to us as a man in white linen. That's why his heart was drawn to us, was because he wanted to give that perspective, that what you're asked to do is it's a pleasure, because your sacrifice is unto the Lord. It's not an inconvenience. It's not the 17th time you've had to teach somebody how to clean out their gate, or like that. It was his heart. It was his heart that he was trying to share. This is a repetitive. There's constantly people coming in and that know nothing or very little, and you're having to make the same corrections over and over. All of that, and it will be going forward. But he wanted to share that if you count the cost as unto the Lord, it's good. It's easy. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I would
good word.
I would summarize that as because I've actually been really starting to get revelation on this in the past. Actually, it's about, when we often, the connotation of the living sacrifice, the first thing that comes to our mind is the sacrifice. Oh, it's hard. It's, it's carrying our cross. It's like just drudgery, persevering. But what heaven is now calling us to is seeing it as a joyful, blissful thing, because it's done in rest. It's done in the joy of heaven. So it's almost like we need a new word, because it has so many bad connotations, being a living sacrifice. But it's like a joyful. It's a joyful sacrifice. So it's. I suppose I would probably use the word that Justin used a lot. It's about seeing the bliss in heaven. Seeing the bliss of doing all these things, that they're blissful. They're not, a drudgery sacrifice.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've to date. I've felt it's been total bliss to do all this stuff. I've loved it. I've enjoyed it. It's been wonderful. And the last couple of weeks has just been. I mean, I can feel this thing going through my mind. Oh, this is starting to not be joyful. This is like, repetitive, hard work, and not recognizing the immense privilege. So it's changing our perspective, getting rid of the old mindset, that, you know, we sacrifice ourselves no matter how we feel, to know that the heavenly mindset is bliss, rest, to look for the beauty in it, and everything we do is looking for that beauty, and then you want to carry on, and you've got great energy.
Yeah, I think it boils down to loving one another. Because if that's really the motive of everything that we really are doing. It's all about love. And love never fails to produce joy. I mean, love, yeah, I think love guards and protects us from a drudgery or it becoming anything less than valuable.
Yeah, I mean, when we were just engaged in those men in white linen, and it's such a joy for me to do that, because I feel the joy and of the harmony and of coming into agreement with scrolls instead of the constant scrapping that we get often in church, that just tears at my spirit big time. And so I just love that environment that refreshes my soul, and that's what I see that we have in heaven now that we never had before, because we're doing so much from the tree of knowledge and not the tree of life. And this is, yeah, actually that's probably a good thing as well, a summary. It's calling it back to engage the tree of life, not the tree of knowledge. And that it's no sacrifice, it's joyful. So are the others seeing, do you feel that in your spirits? Do you feel that?
Yes.
Yes, especially the first part. I started to get teary-eyed when she was saying what Saul kept repeating, I'm not Saul, I'm Paul, that kind of thing.
This is Winnie. I do feel the same way about the Ecclesia, about, you know, possibly being attacked. But I just want to say that in all of what Polly was saying, and then some of what the others were saying, it's like abandoning self. That's what I was getting yesterday and today. That going further and further into where we're going into love. I've heard Ian Clayton say that before too. The more that you ascend, the more you're going to be turning into love. But it is also abandoning self. You're not being selfish anymore. You're just, it's more than sacrifice. It's just giving of yourself. So you're selfless, and you're just letting all the fleshy stuff go, and you're just going in.
This is Polly. I'm remembering that verse that talks about why Jesus died on the cross. You know, it was, you know, you think about that, you know, the torture that went on for hours before he even got on the cross, and got on the cross, and more torturous, he pushed up off his feet. It was horrible pain, but he could take a breath, and then he dropped back down, and he couldn't breathe. And so he would labor to breathe until he would push up off to his nailed feet again. And that's how he died. And put that with the verse that it was the joy set before him that it enabled him to endure the cross. And that, the price I pay is a whole lot less than that. And but I'm not going to be doing it unto the Lord unless I intentionally do that. And in my heart, intention to, I'm doing this because I want the Lord to be known. That's a heart cry. Lord, they don't know you for who you really are. We've been told by the church. I don't want to go into this, but it's a big frustration in my heart that people really don't know Jesus. And I think it's personal counsel to me, at least, that that needs to be my motive, or I will burn out. I will look to go do something that's more fun. I've got to tend to my heart. I've got to keep my sacrifices unto the Lord with joy. And
What do you feel about this candy cane thing? Because I just feel like I just want to pull this out, and I can see this gap closing, but there was this hole.
Well, I was seeing it like a straw. It was more like a straw, like a red wrapped. You've seen straws that are wrapped with red. Kind of looks like a candy cane. So
I almost get the sense it's like a dagger, in the heart, and so it's wounded the heart, and you just got to pull that out, and so that the heart can heal up.
That's more what I was thinking of it. I was seeing it almost like Jacob's ladder, which is a circular staircase with angels ascending and descending on it. But it was a lightning rod. Because we're in this cloud, and I didn't see it as a cloud of glory. I was seeing it more as the dark cloud that surrounds God when he's away from the throne. He surrounds himself in 2 Samuel with the dark clouds and the dark waters. And that dark cloud is just filled with lightning. So this staircase became like a lightning rod to go down into the earth. And then we kept bringing up the men in white linen. I was sensing Solomon and all that. And somebody mentioned Solomon's porch, and that kind of iced it for me, that Solomon was part of this ascension. The wisdom of Solomon is being brought to us. And I think that's what this lightning strike is, this beautiful lightning rod, as the glory of God is going through this lightning down into the earth to provide wisdom for us, a wisdom that we haven't had until now. A new wisdom.
Oh, that is so good, Roger. I can feel that, the wisdom of Solomon. That's it.
Yeah.
I can feel it like a lightning bolt just hitting the Ecclesia. The new wisdom of Solomon, that they just haven't had the wisdom. There's so much foolish behavior.
So I see, if we look up, it's swirling almost like not really a tornado, but like a sky. You could see an upward funnel of the red and white. That's about all I can say. Sorry.
That's what I heard earlier too, what Roger was saying, like a ladder, like Jacob's ladder. That's what came to me too.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like we were preparing to go somewhere, and I'm wondering if Solomon is going to lead that. Solomon and David, father and son, were they going to take us somewhere?
I see him walk in now. He's got like white from the back, whitish long hair and a tannish cream cotton, like a sackcloth robe would be, with a belt like of a rope belt. I see the side of his face. That might be Moses. I think it's Moses. Moses. Oh, wow. I've never seen.
I just sense that out of everything he could be wearing, that he's clothed in humility.
I get a sense that Solomon is saying we need to be clothed with the hearing ear that he asked for. And when the Lord granted him that, it came in the form of wisdom. Grant me the hearing ear. Give me the hearing ear is what he asked for. It's what Diane has always asked for, wisdom, the hearing ear. So I think that's what he wants us to clothe ourselves in right now.
Oh yeah, my whole spirit's crying out for that. I can feel like there's this lightning bolt just going straight through my heart, and it's almost like a transference of this wisdom going in.
Mm-hmm.
I see that rainbow. Sorry, Jane.
No, carry on.
I see that rainbow swirl up and curl down around into our group.
I see we just really honor Solomon, really honor, and that will
Absolutely.
help
And
us
I'm starting to
listen.
sense what Bonnie is saying with the rainbow is that I'm seeing all this orange now. And orange is spirit of wisdom, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
So
Yes.
wisdom
Yes.
and Solomon kind of go together. Spirit of wisdom, Solomon.
Yeah. So we've
The
got to want wisdom. We've got to want it.
seven spirits have colors, so yellow, I think, is a spirit of understanding, and I forget, is red the fear of the Lord? So the rainbow is the seven.
Spirit of the Lord. But since we're all over wisdom right now, that just seems to be including us. I'm sensing that orange from the spirit of wisdom.
Sweet. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
In fact, I still see the men in white linen clothed in white, but we are now clothed in orange.
Wow. Woohoo! Does that mean we've got wisdom?
Yeah,
Woo!
we opened the ear and the transfer was given to us.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I had seen a big ear. Now I see a big chalice. It's transparent in the middle, like an outline of a chalice.
Ooh. I'm getting whacked here. It feels like when I've been under the spirit of glory, and I feel like this blanket's over me of glory. I'm feeling the same thing, but it's a blanket of wisdom, and it's just completely new to me and weighing me down. Woo! It's a new level of wisdom that none of us, I think, have really seen before. I think that's why it's whacking me, because it's new and it's deeper than we've had explained to us or we understand at this current time.
Yeah, I think the waves of the Holy Spirit that I'm sensing is confirmation of what you're saying. Mm.
Yeah, I keep remembering what she said about Saul, just that first part that came from the Spirit just really keeps coming back. To be more teachable to teach. Is that an odd way to say it? I'm going to be more teachable so I can teach.
That's the word. Teachable. Oh, yes.
Jesus.
That's teachable. That's been actually through my spirit the last few days. In fact, I was even going to write on that. We have got to find teachable people.
Right.
We spend so much time with people who've decided that they're not going to move. And we keep like trying to, share with these people who are unteachable. But there's actually a whole, heaven's calling out the teachable people.
Wow.
Well, and also the spirit of wisdom equips us for position. And it would make sense then that's why we've been feeling so distracted, because the last thing that the enemy would want would be for us to be positioned to be able to do this, to help the Ecclesia, to fulfill our mandates. So position this is unbelievable.
That's a good point.
That's good.
Oh, that's good. So do you sense to call forth the teachable people? Call them out of distraction. That's what I see the mandate is. That there's a lot who are really teachable, but they're so distracted. But if we call them out that distraction, they'll quickly absorb this wisdom, and they'll just get it. They'll just get it so quick.
Yeah.
There's going to be a whole new generation of people just going to get this in months. It's taken us years. They're just going to get it, and it's going to be normal, and it's going to be the way a new Christian develops is they just instantly understand all this, and it's bog standard Christianity. In the future, it's not a odd, weird, small sect of people. That's heaven's desire. It's mainstream Christianity.
I just saw David like I hadn't seen before, and he was wearing this robe someone mentioned that just very simple with the sort of like a humility robe, if I could call it that. And he came in and he was really young looking, but he was so laid back. That's what just got my attention, that he was just so totally laid back. and yet and he was just so totally sold out to just worshiping the Lord, just enjoying God. And and yet when it came to anything even to the point, he so trusted the Lord that even to the point when he could have taken and was encouraged to take the king out, he didn't, because he so trusted the Lord to he couldn't take a wrong place of authority. He understood what it meant to totally trust the Lord and just be in that place of such rest and just worshiping the Lord. So it wasn't hard for him to chop off the giant's head, because zeal for the Lord was just, it was in him. It wasn't something he worked up. It wasn't something he even got by trying to learn. It all came out of the fact that he was laid back, worshiping the Lord and just undistracted in that sense.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And David had that fear of God that comes from, he had the wisdom that comes from the fear of the Lord, the holy, awe of God.
Yeah.
Michelle, do you sense that we're supposed to look at that scroll that Jesus had?
I don't know if we aren't already looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're actually already looking at it. I think we're seeing things that we're being taught, or it's being highlighted to us.
I would agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, earlier I saw it like the room lit up with not a candle, but a soft yellow glow of morning sun, maybe. So I would say, yeah.
I'm seeing like the angels. They've got like these like bugle type things, heralding a new sound and calling forth this sounds, calling forth this new generation of teachable, open believers. I think that's probably the sound in David's house. It's being because I've had new revelation this week around the real heart of worship, and it's not just sort of hearing some songs and then kind of coming to agreement with that. It's actually going into David's house, hearing that frequency, coming into alignment with that frequency and releasing that frequency, and translating that to the earth. And that's the real definition of worship, not us, God needing us to tell him how wonderful he is and holy, and that's the angel's job. It's for us to hear that frequency in David's house, come into alignment, agreement with it, and release it.
Wow.
I think
That's good word. That's good.
I think that's what's happening now. We've just heard this frequency that's releasing this, and that's real worship. That's the worship we're called to. That's the governmental sons
sons of God worship, not the, God needs our praise. So I want to press into that. Justin did a teaching. It was a video, and it showed, said that David's tent is going to become so visible. It's coming, and they can't stop it. And I was like so excited. I think it was like last week. So is it going to sound like a hum, or just our one note that we all kind of do in unison that I've done, when I was on the Cat Cur trip? Or is it going to be, what do you see it as, Jane? Well, every time I've heard it, I've heard it now probably about 6 times. I hear it's like an Indian drum beat, the native Indians, and they would like sort of going around stumping their feet and playing this drum. I hear this a sequence of drum beats, and sometimes I'll just go in and I'm like, suddenly I'm just start saying this drum beat, drumming out this drum beat, and that's what it sounds like to me. I don't know if it sounds the same to everyone, but I wonder if there's a way to hear that, because we've heard the 528 frequency, and it kind of sounds like it goes in waves. And I've heard, heaven has kind of like waves, and you got to tune into the frequency of heaven. So I wonder if there's anybody that's got a YouTube or podcast of that sound. Well, I wonder if you can hear it now. Can anyone hear a sound? Like if you were a drummer, what would you drum out?
Yeah, I can definitely hear it, but it's hard to try and, what I'm hearing, hard to try and put into any sound. It's very deep, it's very low, and it almost sounds like thunder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You see, it could well sound really different to everyone.
Yes.
And I think that doesn't matter in a way what it sounds like, or even what the rhythm is. It's it's hearing it, coming into alignment and releasing that frequency. Mm-hmm. So it's that's the critical spiritual act. Not even what it sounds like in the natural.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, I have a sound that sometimes it's the same sound, and sometimes I guess I'm motivated to just release it, and I just release it over and over again, and it sounds like I'm calling, it sounds like a call. But I also feel like, and I've see if you can, gel with this, is that we're talking about frequencies like this, and at the same time I recognize the frequency has to do with the nature, to me, of God. And so when we're talking about coming in alignment, like say with David, and I just see the sound of that unity where he was so laid back. He was in rest. He was in a place of rest. He was not armored. He was not part of the armor of the world's system around him. He was free. And in that place of rest, in that place where his focus was in love upon God, he trusted him. And it was because, and out of that place of that resonating of his self with God, it was easy for him to be that warrior at the time he needed to be that warrior, and just slay the giant.
Wow, there's something really powerful in what you just said there, Michelle. Really, it's like a wisdom, Solomon's wisdom, like a key to having the real authority and power of dominion, but through rest. Not how we've often seen it, of really fighting.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, he wasn't looking for a lion or a bear. But when he faced it, he knew exactly what to do. There was no sweat off his back to just tackle that thing and nullify it. So,
Mm. Oh, and the other thing I've seen back on the frequency thing is that man wants to materialize it into a protocol and something they can physically do. So, you know, a lot of listening to these set frequencies, podcasts and things, I see that as still eating from the tree of knowledge, and it's not not the full manifestation, and it become a religious protocol that will eventually become dry and
outlive its usefulness.
Yeah, and it become a need, you know, oh, I have to find this certain frequency, and I can't operate unless I hear this certain frequency, and there's huge dangers in it. We shouldn't need any props whatsoever. It's just about aligning our spirits in heaven and training our spirits to hear those frequencies that instantly refresh. In fact, right now, I can feel that frequency is healing. I mean, I've just been wounded quite badly yesterday with something that's happened, quite profound in my life. And I could just feel that frequency healing it. It's a beautiful healing frequency, and it's training ourselves to really hear it.
I don't know if this has meaning, but I just saw us around you, Jane, and I got this thought. Persecution causes us to be unmovable, establishes an immovableness in us.
Yeah.
And it also sends us forward. It motivates us. Because with persecution, when that comes, there's something that goes on in us that then our inner self, our spirit just like latches on to the truth about a thing and establishes us in the truth of where we're going and why.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I just feel like we can circle around Jane and resonate with that healing frequency.
I just got revelation. It's, you know, we were talking before about like that candy thing was like a dagger pulling out the heart and healing the heart. That this frequency is the same thing. That's what it's doing. It's healing the wounds of the Ecclesia.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, girl. Thank you. They've got to have that heal to get the passion for God and for heaven and want intimacy. Because the wound stops them wanting intimacy. You've been hurt really bad.
Wounding can separate us, or it can draw us closer together.
Yes, they decided they didn't want intimacy because they were hurt so bad before. So they'd rather settle for earthly pleasures. And heaven's desire is to, I see it as wanting to restore that desire to be vulnerable. That's it. Desire, yeah, restoring the desire to be vulnerable. That's the restoration I think we're called to today.
Yeah.
It's just dawned on me how what Polly was saying is exactly what kind of happened to you. You're repeating and repeating and repeating in humility and humbleness and kindness and teachableness, and they rejected you. And I mean, Saul might not have become Paul instantly. He may have had times where he felt pain, and we women kind of process things differently. But it's the same kind of repetition, how many times you had to repeat, and in love, and probably sometimes you didn't want to. And the Lord just kept revealing himself in deeper ways and allowing him to get that love balm just healed that, so we kept going.
This frequency also resonates out of spirit of rest.
So do we have to be in rest to release that frequency? And if we constantly fight rest, we're not going to come in alignment with it. Is that my point?
Well, Ian teaches we sit on a seat of rest on our throne.
It's obvious, really, that the seat of rest is linked with frequency.
We're not resting. We're not seated on the throne.
Yeah, and it affects our whole frequency, and then our frequency affects the way we can align with the frequency of heaven, which then brings our frequency down even more because we're not in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Lord, can I pass this test? Can I not go through?
But you know,
Right?
I think that the seat of rest is a constant 24/7, every second decision.
Mm.
So it's not like we've mastered it. Once we've learned the principle, we've mastered it. We'll never ever master it. It's a constant choice of sitting in rest that second. So it's back to these distractions. It's back to these hurts, this vulnerability. It's choosing that second what you're going to trade on. You're going to trade on with that rest, or are you going to just go with something on the earth that's going to heal your pain for a few minutes?
So again, we find the necessity for repetition, which is how we raise our children, with much repetition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks to all of you, I've just changed my intense natural frequency that I was burdened with for many, many days. And I have this rest that has just come over me from the heavenly realm. It has transcended my flesh. And you're right, it's a moment by moment, breath by breath decision.
Oh, woo, that's wonderful. Oh,
Amen.
woohoo, woohoo. Oh, I feel so much lighter in my spirit.
I have to admit something to all of you. May I?
Yeah.
Sure.
I have all my papers here with me about standing cleansed and righteous and innocent and receiving the divorce papers from this influence. And that I confess I'm divorced and separated from slavery and its influence. But I do have difficulty in my heart disconnecting from the flesh of the intellect. And I am in warfare all the time. Even though I know better, I'm seeing Jesus' hand in my life all around me. It's something I need to take to the courts of heaven that I haven't thoroughly done yet. Is that correct? So I can disconnect from the flesh that plagues me.
Well, I feel like I have that same issue of seeking knowledge. I love knowledge. And it turns out Eve chose knowledge over God. So, yikes.
I hear, let go of you. I just heard that.
Yes.
We're really not supposed to do it on the call, but let go of you.
Yes, yes, that is it. Yes. I come from a background. I'm Jewish. I'm saved. I'm born again from 1987. I see women, matriarchs, in the Jewish culture have this issue of taking control. So they must make decisions, and I must take that off of me. And it suffice. It is, I shouldn't use that word. No, I can take that frequency higher. I do. I want to be more consistent. And that's my warfare.
Well, I think I'm just saying we've raised the whole frequency of the Ecclesia. I can feel it, and I'm dancing away now in David's house. Just manically. My spirit is so happy. And and I'm just really hearing the frequency of the Ecclesia has risen. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just getting a picture of touching, reaching to that cane pole and just holding my hand on it. Like, I just think like,
Oh, I can sense what it's doing. It's coming out of the atmosphere of the earth and it's going up to the higher realms in heaven.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's something about, the releasing of the frequency from heaven to earth. It was like it was too low. It was like it was in the atmosphere of the earth and not higher up.
Yes.
Oh, that's why.
Is that like a sound? I'm sorry.
No, carry on.
Is that like a sound portal?
I don't know. But I've just got revelation on it that it's because the whole Ecclesia has been operating predominantly from the atmosphere of the earth and not from the higher realms, and that heaven's wanting to pull it up and say, come on, operate out the higher realms, don't operate out the atmosphere of the earth. And this is we're talking the massive numbers in the body of Christ, in the whole body of Christ, in all the traditional churches, all the different groupings, bringing them out of a huge dominance of operating from the atmosphere of the earth.
Well, they're related to the church and the earth, and that would be spirit of witchcraft and control. Trying to do the works of God in the according to the mind of the flesh, the world, the flesh, and the devil. Just trying to whitewash it.
Yeah, just so much eating from the tree of knowledge. The last few days, I've just been hit with it. And I just felt like I had to write on it. I could just hear heaven saying, do not eat any more from the tree of knowledge. And even we're doing it. We're doing it in heavenly realms circles.
Yeah.
We're eating from that tree of knowledge. We're just constantly searching for the latest podcast, the latest revelation. Somebody's going to tell us the information instead of seeing we can get the information direct. We're powerful enough. We just got to train ourselves. We can get the revelation Ian Clayton has. We don't have to keep looking to these gurus. We're well capable of hearing the frequency of heaven and the revelation. It's easy.
Amen.
It's
Amen.
easy. It's easy. It's flowing. It's all the time. When you eat from the tree of life, it flows at you. It all the time. As you're interacting in the day, the revelation is just coming. Bang, 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 bang. And it's just allowing that tree, that river of life to flow through, and then you acknowledge the revelation you're getting. That the revelation you're getting is really profound.
Living out of communion.
Yeah.
It's something about instead of one of us doing it, all of us doing it together. I heard that podcast by Nancy Cohen, Dimensions 1 and 2, where she talks about how in this day the Lord wants us to get what we're getting from the door. I believe it's called the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So all together instead of one. She was saying that's what the Lord is doing in this time that we're coming up into in the Ecclesia. Ooh.
I keep seeing David slide down the pole. He's got on a green robe and he's got his dark hair and the crown.
I'm feeling a real peace and completeness. What about anyone else? Kathy, what are you up to?
Yeah, I'll stop the recording.